Okay, welcome everyone. I am Dr. Pamela Thomas. You can call me Pam. Welcome to Online with the CMC. This morning, Eric McKinney will be presenting AI in the library world, part 3. The slides with the notes are uploaded to L2 if you want to follow along, and he will answer questions during the presentation as long as I catch them popping up in the chat. So during the presentation, you can put your questions in the chat. After the presentation is over, you can do that, or you can unmute yourself and ask your question verbally. So take it away, Eric. I'm going to put the evaluation in the chat as well.
All righty. Thank you very much, Pam. I appreciate that. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to October's session of Online with the CNC. This is AI in the Library World Part 3. Excuse me. The previous 2 editions, I've done one each year over the past couple of years, and those are available for viewing on our archive on YouTube. So you could just search IHLS YouTube and find those videos there. You don't have to watch them sequentially. They're all just kind of standalone videos. So with that out of the way, my name, again, is Eric McKinney. I've been here at the Cataloging Maintenance Center for 4 years exactly, as of last Saturday. Thanks for the reminder, Mary. I arrived here from an academic library, and that's where the bulk of my cataloging experience lies. Go Big Blue, yay. I'm married to a high school librarian, so I guess I can bar the work honestly. In our spare time, my wife and I enjoy spoiling our pets. That's Tyrion on the left there. That's my doggy. The poor old guy just had a tooth extracted yesterday, so he's laying next to me, still kind of dazed from that. And he just turned 11 this summer. That's Griffin there in the middle. He's our kitty cat, and he's pretending that he's a supermodel, and he's looking good there. And in our yard, we have lots and lots of squirrels that are running around, and some of them look really unusual. But this one here is our favorite. This is Piebald, also known as Pie. And I'm pretty sure he considers my wife and I his pets at this point, but that's okay. We keep him well fed. And in our spare time, we also enjoy gardening, gaming, and reading, as most library folk do. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at our agenda for this morning. Excuse me. For today's presentation, I'd like to start with a brief history of AI. After that, I'll review the types of AI. We will then look at the top barriers to the adoption of AI in libraries, and then examine some of the ethical concerns for its use. We will look at some guidelines for the ethical use of AI in libraries, and I will wrap up by looking at a couple of real-world examples of AI policies. Right, here's a brief history of AI. Most experts agree that artificial intelligence as we know it today was born of the work of British scientist Alan Turing. Turing proposed the imitation game to better define thinking machines, what we call artificial intelligence. In a nutshell, the imitation game imagines a person and a machine in separate rooms. Both are questioned with a computer and keyboard, and the questioner must determine which is the person and which is the machine by the responses received. The computer is considered intelligent if it cannot be determined which is which. And then on the left there, you might know also Alan Turing was the one who cracked the Germans' Enigma machine during World War II. That's a picture of that there on the left. So the term artificial intelligence was officially coined in 1956 by Professor John McCarthy, who considered AI to be science and engineering creating intelligent machines. McCarthy is known today as the father of artificial intelligence. The first AI program was created in 1951 by Christopher Strachey. It was a checkers program that could play a complete game at a reasonable speed. In 1952, another program called Shopper could memorize items in different shops and remember where to find them. That sounds an awful lot like one of today's apps for 1952. I thought that was pretty impressive. The first AI program here in the United States was also a checkers program, and that was written by Arthur Samuel, also in 1952. The growth of AI took off in 1960s as government funding became available and computers became much cheaper to own and operate. An AI milestone was reached in 1987 when IBM's Deep Blue AI defeated chess champion Garry Kasparov. With today's machines much faster than those of the 1980s, AI is now used in search engines, facial recognition apps, digital assistants like Siri and Alexa, and numerous other technologies. And there on the right, of course, it's just some checkers in the middle. There on the right is just one of the processing units of the IBM computer that defeated Garry Kasparov. There were a total of 32 in the machine, and that's just one of them there. Right, types of AI, capability-based. It is important to note that while there are many types of AI, not all are in existence quite yet. Our first type is capability-based AI. Artificial narrow intelligence, also known as ANI, is also known as weak or narrow AI, and it excels at doing specific tasks. It can learn from the data it collects as it performs its task. Think of the AI chatbots many libraries are using. Excuse me, self-driving cars, facial recognition software, and your phone's digital assistant all make use of ANI. Second type is artificial general intelligence, AGI, is also known as general or strong AGI. The goal for AGIs is to have them think, act, and make decisions like humans. Artificial general intelligence is used for robotics, natural language processing, speech recognition, and image recognition without human interference. And the one that isn't quite with us yet is the super AI or artificial superintelligence. Currently is only theoretical. Super AI would have the capability to think, reason, learn, and make judgments that far surpasses our own, which is why I'm both fascinated and horrified by AI sometimes. That's kind of a scary prospect. There's types of functionality-based AI. There are several. Reactive machines are the most basic AI. They are great at specific tasks, but have no memory for recalling previous searches and answers. All answers are based on the information loaded. IBM's Deep Blue, mentioned earlier, is an example of a functionality-based AI. Limited memory AI does have some memory, so it can make decisions from past experiences with programmers and users. Limited memory AI can be found in most AI programs like the aforementioned library chatbots, self-driving vehicles, and digital assistants. Theory of mind AI is also currently only theoretical. If realized, an AI would have the ability to simulate human relationships through learning to understand the thoughts and emotions of humans. Interactions with such an AI could be highly personalized if it can understand a person's thoughts and emotions. And finally, the self-aware is our final type of functionality-based AI, and it's still a way off yet. Most estimates I was reading anywhere from 20 to 40 years. In addition to understanding people's thoughts and emotions, a self-aware AI would understand its own internal conditions. It would have its own separate set of needs and beliefs. It would be a true thinking machine. But almost all AI in use today are ANI with limited memory. And here are some additional capabilities with AI. Maybe not necessarily true AI themselves, but just tools AIs can use. So first is computer vision, and that can be used with a narrow AI to teach it to analyze and interpret objects in images and videos. Technology is used like this is used in self-driving cars, Roombas, and maybe sometime soon a self-driving library cart. That would be fun. Our second category is robotics. As mentioned, the narrow AI excels at performing repetitive tasks, as do robots in factories. When you combine the two, you get things like AIs that assist surgeons in surgeries and Roombas. And finally, expert systems. Many businesses spend a lot of time and money trying to predict what might happen and trying to plan for it. Expert systems with a narrow AI can examine vast amounts of data to look for trends that might help the business make better decisions. So those are tools that some AIs can make use of. How to train your AI. Training the AI can be one of the biggest controversies of the technology. Some crawl the internet like a search engine and suck up all information, copyrighted or not. Not cool. Thousands of authors have sued AI companies for having their copyrighted work essentially pirated by the AI. End users can then take that material and create and profit from their own art and their stories based on the copyrighted work. Not cool. Fortunately, it is not necessary for libraries to take this route. Supervised learning models in AI rely on well-defined data. These AI can use historical data and user input for prediction tasks like spam detection and forecasting market changes in consumers' behavior, excuse me. This would be the best model to use for libraries. Unsupervised learning models in AI excel at sorting and filtering through large amounts of unstructured data to find the best results. Reinforcement learning models are a sort of mashup of both supervised and unsupervised. These models can work with either structured or unstructured data and make decisions based on future impact. Many automation tasks benefit from reinforcement learning. All right, so in the libraries, AI can be used for resource discovery, which uses natural language processing and machine learning to connect patrons with materials. Think of the systems that recommend uh, materials to library patrons. Those use algorithms that are based on patron preference and their past searches to come up with current recommendations that might better match their preferences. Let's see, chatbots and virtual assistants are popular uses of AI in patron services, especially in public and academic libraries. These systems also use natural language processing to better understand patron queries, providing better results. And with the AI's ability to sort through massive amounts of data quickly, libraries might make use of data mining and predictive analytics to manage the collection. Data collected might point to what needs weeded or what areas of the collection could use shored up. While there are tools to accomplish these things currently, AI speeds up the process immensely. AI can also be used to automatically classify and catalog items based on their metadata information. Let's see, digital preservation might make use of image recognition and metadata information to sort through thousands of images for a certain image or even a person in a certain image. Though facial recognition AI has stirred up a lot of controversy recently with its real world use. Different agencies using it to identify people, and it's to such an extent now that you can actually go out and buy masks that prevent AI recognition. And finally, accessibility can be enhanced with AI with text-to-speech searching and apps using computer vision that can describe materials to vision or hearing impaired patrons. So there are some ways it could be used in the library. Next, let's look at barriers to adoption. While AI is certainly a useful tool for many library applications, it might be hard to implement for some libraries. Here are some of the common barriers to adoption to be aware of. First is data challenges. Making current data available to new systems can often be difficult. The data in the legacy system might require additional work to make it compatible to the AI system. Next is cost concerns. With budgets already tight for many libraries, the cost of equipment, software licenses, and upkeep may be cost prohibitive. Limited understanding and expertise, libraries are less likely to adopt any new technology when they do not understand what it can do for their library or how it may benefit. Which also brings us to legacy systems and integration issues. New equipment might be needed to ensure the tools operate properly, and that's after you get the data massaged into proper form. Concerns of who will make our legacy data compatible or who do we turn to if we have a problem with the system might also prevent consideration, especially in smaller libraries who might not have the staff to dedicate the time or the time to the technology. We have lack of clear use cases. While adoption is taking off in libraries with chatbots, more clear examples of its use could help overcome this barrier. I think often word of mouth is a good way to communicate the benefits of further AI use in the library world. If one library is using it in a particular way, maybe they can share that with at conferences or on listservs and things like that. The resistance to change, that is the bane of any new technology anywhere, I believe. There's always going to be a portion of library workers and patrons who are resistant to change. For the workers, the objections may be the cost concerns or the need for new training. And for the patrons, they might just simply not see the need. So helping them see the need would also help the library to adopt the AI. But as you can tell, adopting the technology takes a lot of planning. It may require new infrastructure, new equipment, more staff training, and the ongoing cost of upkeep. Doing a cost benefit analysis may be the only way to determine if AI adoption is suitable for a particular library, though I do believe the costs will come down as the technology ages. All right, next we can look at the ethical concerns. Like many new technologies, AI does come with its own set of ethical concerns. Top among them are transparency. Libraries should be open with patrons about the data used and the decision-making process of the AI. This builds patron trust and makes it easier to identify biases in results. Fairness. Does the AI serve all patrons impartially? Results should be monitored with algorithms adjusted accordingly. And who does the algorithm adjusting? It'd be another good question to ask. Privacy and data protection. Most people value their privacy both in and out of the library world, and libraries are typically champions of patron privacy. But if an AI leaks a patron's private information, I mean, it's not really the library's fault, but the damage is still done. which hopefully they would have accountability for. So libraries should establish clear guidelines and protocols for the use of AI and make them available to patrons both in print and online. All right, guidelines for ethical AI use. While the concerns from the previous slide have been around since the advent of AI, there has been little other guidance. With no clear guidelines for the ethical use of AI in libraries, Dr. Sudhakar Mishra of the Indian Institute of Technology in Kanpur set out to modify the ethical framework for library use. In a 2023 paper published in the e-journal Library Philosophy and Practice, Dr. Mishra identified 7 areas that should be considered when developing an ethical AI for library use. And so some of these we've seen again. First one is fairness. As mentioned in the previous slide, an AI should serve all patients equally and impartially. Algorithms should be evaluated regularly to ensure there is no bias or discrimination in the results. Transparency. Again, this is just the library being upfront with the patrons on what data is used, how the data is used, and how the AI comes to decisions. Accountability. Libraries must have guidelines and protocols for the use of AI, and they should be made clearly available to patrons. User autonomy. Users must retain control over their personal data. This might include specific privacy regulations and options for opting out of certain features. I think this could also fall under accountability. And our next ones. Number 5 is privacy. Security measures should be taken to secure patron data. This might be an area where outside help is required to ensure digital information is safe. Any patron data used should be used for legitimate library purposes only. 6 is human oversight. AI should always be overseen by humans, not other AI. Remember that documentary, The Matrix? That's why. I'm just kidding. But libraries should think about when it might be necessary to intervene. Things like hallucinations, where an AI simply makes up an answer, or inadvertently releasing private data would be reasons to intervene. And 7, the final one, benefit. The AI should be used for the benefit of the community. This requires prioritizing user needs while balancing them with the principles of the library. This balance can be spelled out in the protocols and guidelines. All right. So this brings us to our first real world example from the Association of Research Libraries. After learning more about what goes into making a good policy regarding AI, I decided to look for real world examples to see if they met the criteria put forth by Dr. Sudhakar. The first one I came across was a document on the guiding principles of the Association of Research Libraries, the ARL. The ARL identified 7 principles that they say will serve as a foundational and framework for the ethical and transparent use of AI and reflect the values we hold in research libraries. All right, and the first one, libraries democratize access to artificial intelligence tools and technology to foster digital literacy among all people. So I would say that that falls under fairness in Dr. Sudhakar's ethical framework. 2, libraries commit to understanding where distortions and biases are present in AI models and applications. And I think that would fall under both transparency and accountability. 3, libraries champion transparency and information integrity. That one's easier. That's transparency and also accountability. Libraries believe no human AI, no human, no AI. So there should always be human oversight, and the machine should not be tasked with overseeing itself. 5, nope, this is continued with the ARL. This is libraries prioritize security and privacy of users in the use of AI tools, technology, and training data. And I think this would fall under fairness, privacy, and user autonomy. 6, libraries assert that copyright law in the US and Canada is flexible and robust enough to respond to many copyright issues that arise from the intersection of technology and artificial intelligence. And that would be taking accountability. And the last one is libraries negotiate to preserve the scholarly use of digital information. And I think that one would fall under benefit, because that would definitely be a benefit to the community to have that information preserved. So for our second real world example, excuse me while I get a drink. DeKalb Public Library. While researching for this presentation, I found DeKalb Public Library's AI policy. And then I got to meet a lot of their fantastic staff at Pug Day in a couple of weeks ago in East Moline. What a great conference that was. It was great to meet everybody from there. So let's see, their policy was approved by their board in September of last year. It is just over a page long and does a great job of covering the bases. The first section lays out the ethical principles they will abide by. Privacy protection, transparency, accountability, equity, and accessibility are all explicitly mentioned in this section. The next section, assessment and approval, describes how any AI use will be thoroughly assessed by library staff before being implemented. It must be approved by the board before implementation. The document also requires staff to be trained before working with AI and helping patrons with its uses. The document finishes by outlining what is permissible with their AI and what is not. Overall, it is a fantastic document that covers all points of Dr. Sudakar's ethical framework clearly and concisely. There is a link to it in the resources if you would like to have a look for yourself. And so that brings us to our resources. And that's some of them anyway. Here's the rest of them. And I think one last thing that I did want to point out about the ethics is my colleague, Mary Cornell, brought up the ethical use of energy, which is huge right now, seeing as AIs are taking up a lot of energy. So I think that should also probably be a consideration of libraries. Is it being done in an ethical way? Maybe that should be an 8th point for Dr. Sudakar, but I don't know, maybe we can discuss that. So here is everybody here willing to discuss that with us. That's Barbara Scobie, CMC cataloger, Dr. Pamela Thomas, bibliographic grant manager, Mary Cornell, CMC cataloger. That's me, the CMC cataloging trainer. Kat Enderberg, our metadata cataloger. Ryan Rafferty, Katie Roberts, and Andrea Joysta are our special project catalogers. So we are all here to address any questions you may have. If you don't have any about the presentation, that's okay. Feel free to ask any cataloging questions you might have, or share your plan for world domination using AI so we can all be better prepared. Thank you much.
Thanks, Eric. We don't have any questions right now. I have allowed people to unmute themselves if they would like to do that. I'm adding the CMC evaluation form once again. Please fill that out. We want your feedback, and we also want suggestions for future Online with the CMC webinars. And just a reminder that next month we'll be presenting Still Searching database and search tools for subject headings. And again, for those of you who joined us a little bit later, the presentation is in L2 with the notes right now. So does anyone have any questions for Eric about AI?
I was wondering if I could ask a dumb question.
There are no dumb questions.
How I've heard this in several webinars about the AI using up energy. Could anybody explain exactly how that works? How are they using up energy?
Yes, basically they are building data centers, which take huge amounts of energy to run. In fact, Meta and I believe Microsoft are both looking into building their own nuclear reactors just so they can power or have enough energy to run all the AI applications that especially are coming down the pipe. So that's a lot of it, is just how much energy it's actually taking. I had forget was it. Oh, I don't remember the stat that I read. 4% was used last year. Yeah, and they were looking at possibly 25 or 22% of all households will be using some form of AI by 2028, which of course will up we'll need more energy for that.
Okay. Jill asks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Jill asks, there seem to be several catalogers on this call. Would they like to speak to how they are using it in their work? And probably an unmute answer is best. Okay, Jill.
I can speak to this. So I will be perfectly honest. I am one of those curmudgeons that uses it as minimally as I can, because I am worried about the ethical use of energy. For the most part, the only way I use it is if we're doing note taking, like we're doing here in this webinar. And we also use it for transcription work as well, for the webinars. But yeah, I don't use it for anything else like cataloging or whatnot.
And that was Mary Cornell, one of our CMC catalogers.
Oh, and just as a caveat, I did not use any AI in the production of this presentation on AI. Yeah.
That was probably hard and painful for you.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Mary. I don't use it too much for creative unless I'm making like an image or something to troll my nieces and nephews. Yeah, but little tips. I've even read, a lot of people tend to tell it please or thank you or, but that's just extra energy. I can't remember, again, I read a long time ago about how much energy that saves by just eliminating telling the AI please and thank you and be as direct as possible. And that actually saves energy. So maybe that should actually be listed as an ethical use as well.
So we should be rude to our AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just get my information. Enough of the chit chat.
Sorry, this is Jill, and I know here at Fairview Heights, sometimes what me or Damon will do is, when you have those really long descriptions in a bib record that we don't want, so you copy and paste them, throw them into Chat GPT, ask it to, put this into 3 sentences, 4 sentences, and it does. And then, you put that in that note, for the description. So, that's super helpful. And, it's kind of what we want anyway. We don't want the, half a page long book description. So.
No, we don't need to sell the book in the MARC record. You're right.
Yeah. So that's been super helpful. Just basically, trying to get to a brief description of a book for our record.
Cool. Okay, hang on. I gotta go back up because we've got a couple questions out. Jessica says privacy concerns are a big thing regarding AI usage at the school library I work at. Has anyone had any experience or thoughts towards using it in a K through 12 library space? Okay, I'll leave that out there and I'll read the next question. But if anybody has any answer to the K through 12, then please feel free to unmute yourself or put something in the chat. Karina says, I don't use it in my daily cataloging, but a couple of ways I've tested out are 1, creating concise summaries from long book descriptions, like Jill just mentioned. 2, ideas for subject headings when I'm not familiar with the subject. And then I double check and verify to make sure are actual controlled headings. Okay, that's helpful. And Lauren says, just an FYI, wordery.com gives brief descriptions of summaries versus the longer ones that are found on Amazon, book jackets, etc. And you guys can also reword those summaries yourself, but I know it takes time and brain power. Not saying that you don't want to use your brain power, but sometimes my brain is just not ready for summarizing a 5-paragraph summary statement.
I think my best use of them is when cataloging world languages. Sometimes they're all in all caps. Yes, but if I can throw it into an AI and tell it to, okay, formulate this as it should be, but keep all the diacritics. And that way I can get it in the format I need. Diacritics are still in place, and then I can just copy and paste it over.
Cool. Any other thoughts or questions about AI? Or if anybody has an answer about the K through 12.
I will say I've actually listened to all of these, and it's been interesting the way this has progressed, from the first one Eric did to this one, because it hasn't been a really long time in the course of these 3, but just how different the first one was to where we are now just speaks a lot to how quick this is all changing.
Yes.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's why I like doing them every year, just to see where we're at, what they're going to do.
And plus we have one of our 10 topics already figured out.
Yeah, there you go, every year. It's easy enough.
Every year.
And it's fun to research.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot more to research now than when you did your first one too. So
oh yes,
that's super helpful.
True that.
Just a reminder, if anybody's at ILA next week, the CMC will be there. We will have a booth 811, right in front as soon as you enter the door. So please stop by and get some free swag if you're there. Mary says, do you double check that it's keeping diacritics in place when you copy and paste for world languages? It can be so integral with different languages where those are.
Yes, I sure do, Mary. I have all the diacritic tables you showed me and the PDFs for all those. So yeah, I definitely can go in and make sure that they're still as they should be.
And Karina just, dang it, hang on, I gotta go back up. Shared the URL.
I see, convert case.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. I'm not sure I'll check with my wife about her high school library, but I'm not sure they've implemented any sort of AI there. But if so, I'll let you know, Jessica.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, and yeah, Karina said I just tested it. It does keep the diacritics in place. Mary says good. Some copy and paste tools don't do this well, hence my question. Okay, Jessica says thank you. We're just starting to try to get right, and I have policy, so I'm trying to get suggestions anywhere I can. Totally understand that, Jessica. It sounds like DeKalb Public Library has maybe a good
Yes, they
one
definitely
to
have
look at.
a good one to model. So I like it's clear, it's concise, and it covers all the ethical things that we looked at.
I will say though, in that policy, like when I'm thinking about it in practice, I don't 100% know I want my board to approve all the, AI things we're going to use because I don't think they know enough about them to,
Gotcha.
probably
Yep.
weigh in on. And then I also think the statement about making sure staff are thoroughly trained on it, or before using it, it's like, well, how are they achieving that? I mean, I don't know really where to send my staff to get thoroughly trained in AI. I mean, listen to a webinar. I don't know. I haven't, I don't know. I like the thought behind it, and maybe that's the benefit of having a DeKalb Public Library, because you have a lot of staff and they have the time to devote to doing
Yes.
that, and you can pull people away to get that specific kind of training. But when you run a smaller library, that's a luxury,
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
see
how to
that.
balance that policy with my actual ability to do those things.
That was definitely a concern. Like I said, one of the barriers to adoption can definitely be those concerns.
Well, and maybe the training, maybe I haven't looked at it. Maybe they're only referring to like specific like tools that they use.
And I would think that if it's like the chat bot, there's going to be
Mhm.
training needed for everybody to, okay, here's, for the staff to, here's how the chat bot works. So I think depends on what specific AI tools you'd be using in your library as to how much training they would require or you would need.
And it might just be more of like an informal in-house training that they're doing to make sure that everybody's using it the same way or knows how to use it.
Yeah. But yep, the decision not to go to the board, I think, would definitely be a library to library decision.
Yeah. Nothing against board members, but yeah,
Yep.
I hear you.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions, comments on AI or any cataloging related questions? Constance asks, where do you find an AI engine?
Poe.com has a variety of AIs that you can use. Some of them you use for free, some of them you do have to subscribe to, but they're are quite a bit that you can just kind of test out. It has image generators and just general assistance. Yep, just Poe.com, like Edgar Allan Poe, POE.com.
And Constance, if you have time, you could watch the other 2 AI presentations that Eric has given, because I know he talks about the search engines there too, the AI engines. You are welcome. Okay, no other questions? Well, we hope that you'll join us next month for Still Searching. And like I mentioned, we do record these, so I will be sending out the link to the recording, hopefully, well, either at the end of this week, or if it's not Monday next week, then it's going to be the following Monday because we're at ILA. But it will reach your inbox soon. I'm going to stop the recording.